There's one publication every baseball fan should have a subscription to. It is Baseball America. They've been in the business for, goodness, it's been over 40 years now, covering the greatest game in the world at every single level. And J.J. Cooper is the executive editor of Baseball America. Joins us right here on Halftime across the state of Arkansas. J.J., I appreciate your time. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Got football season starting. I'm excited about that. Baseball team is practicing just down the road, but I'm a little bummed out about what the future of minor league baseball looks like because, full disclosure, I grew up in Pittsburgh. I did not know anything about minor league baseball except that those were the guys that eventually played for my Pirates. Then I worked in the minor leagues for about 20 years, fall in love with it. And I understand it's not a perfect world, but it is changing in a way that I'm not sure if any of us really appreciate. You've been at the forefront of reporting on these negotiations. So what's happening right now between Major League Baseball and minor league baseball?
Well, I think at this point you can say with confidence Major League Baseball is going to take over running of minor league baseball. And that's a simple sentence, but there's a lot to it. But to try to explain that simply, Major League Baseball, there's been an independent entity, Minor League Baseball, headquarters in St. Petersburg, Florida, that runs the minors. And then Major League Baseball, through affiliation agreements, through the professional baseball agreement, has an agreement where MLB teams provide players to individually owned minor league clubs. That part is still going to stay the same. The individual minor league owners are still going to remain. It's not going to be something where MLB's taking over owning all these minor league teams. But what is going to change, definitely, is Major League Baseball is going to take over the total operations, scheduling, umpire assignments, all the many, the marketing, licensing, all those things. MLB's taking that over. The president of Minor League Baseball, Pat O'Connor, just announced this week that he's retiring. There is no mention of there being a replacement for him because there's not going to be a replacement. So all that's happening. And then on top of that, MLB has made clear, and MILB has effectively at this point kind of understands that this is happening, that they're going to reduce the number of teams from 160 minor league teams right now to 120.
Well, and that's the part that gets all the headlines, the idea that there are cities across the country that are going to lose their professional baseball teams. And in many cases, these municipalities have put forward public money for stadiums specifically for professional baseball, not summer wooden bat league baseball, what they view as professional baseball with an affiliation. That's what gets all the headlines. Is Major League Baseball really going to try to do something to replace those teams with some form of acceptable baseball for those municipalities, or do they even care?
Your word acceptable there is a big one. That's going to have to carry a lot of water here because, yes, I think it is absolutely accurate to say from all my reporting that MLB has a plan to ensure at least the opportunity. Now, I'm going to also say the word opportunity is important there. If they say we're going to set up this summer wood bat league for rising juniors or rising sophomores, and we want your city, former Pioneer League cities, we want you all to be part of this, and they all say no, well, they can't make them do it. But though their MLB is setting up leagues, is also working on having agreements with indie ball leagues where there are teams that fit better in indie ball than in a newly developed league. They are being adamant, and they have been adamant throughout this, pre-COVID, post-COVID. Yes, we're going to absolutely provide opportunities. Now, you said, though, acceptable. There are absolutely cities, there are absolutely teams who I think look at this and say that's not the same. And it's not the same. But it's also the reality of what's coming. Again, at this point, when minor league baseball sent a proposal back to Major League Baseball a month ago, in August, its proposal understood that there would only be full season baseball in this. There was not going to be the rookie league and short season leagues like there were before. And also, I just got to add on top of that, MLB just held a 5-round draft this year. Major League Baseball has already announced that next year's draft will be held All-Star Weekend. It'll be held in July. If you have an All-Star game, if you have the draft at the All-Star Weekend in July, that's after these short season leagues have already started. Mm-hmm. So the cake's baked. Now it's just a matter of when it's going to come out of the oven is a bad analogy for me to explain it.
So, what this seems to come down to me for Major League Baseball more than anything is about saving costs, streamlining operations, and leverage. And the leverage was with the minor league teams for all these years, because as long as you were a member of a professional minor league under this umbrella organization, you were guaranteed a major league affiliation. And that was no matter how bad your facilities were, how much, how you ran your organization, you were guaranteed that affiliation. The minor league teams had the leverage. It's now the other way around, from what I'm understanding here, because Major League Baseball will hand out licenses to minor league teams to host these players instead of affiliations. What's the difference?
I'll start with, as far as the leverage. So what has happened over the past, I would say 30 years, I would go back to the PBA of 1990 that MLB and MILB agreed to, which was a pretty contentious one at the time. Over these last 30 years, there's always been the assumption that whenever a professional baseball agreement between MLB and MILB expires, they were just going to renew it and do another one. And so because of that, it's been treated by most everyone involved as if it's a perpetual license, perpetual affiliation. Like as long as you said, as long as you had it, you were going to get to keep it. And one thing that MLB has made clear simply by the action so far is actually that wasn't true. The agreement is only through the 7 or 10 years of the professional baseball agreement, which that one expires. The current professional baseball agreement expires at the end of this month, at the end of September. Once those expire, if MLB opts not to renew it, there is no business relationship at that point between MLB and MILB. So they kept it in their back pocket all these years, but the leverage has always rested in MLB's hands from the simple standpoint that they could walk away and form their own system, but MILB, as it currently stands, really isn't equipped to say we can do this on our own. We don't need Major League Baseball. And so that's what they said, the quiet part out loud this year. And now that that's happened, it's changed the entire dynamics of the minor leagues, because going forward, it's going to mean that everyone still has in the back of their head, MLB can always change this. They have the ability to do so with the leverage to do so in a way that minor league teams do not. But I would say that the license agreement, what's going to change about it is that they're going to be longer. So right now, every 2 years, we play the affiliation shuffle. That's what we always call it, where teams that aren't happy with their MLB club and MLB clubs that aren't happy with their minor league teams, they go on the market, and there's like a 30-day period for them to find a new partner. Well, what's going to happen now under this MLB proposed system would be that there will be teams who will know in 2021 we're going to be an affiliate of this major league team for the next 10 years because they're going to have a 10-year deal. So it's going to be a lot longer that way. But at the same time, at the end of whatever that franchise agreement is, that license agreement is, the MLB team, under MLB's proposal, if they want to move on and go somewhere else, they can simply by, if they find another affiliate, another market, and if that team's left without an affiliate, then there's going to be a buyout or of sorts to handle that. But so that's a very different system than right now, where you always knew that you were going to have another team coming down the road, whether they really wanted to end up there or not. It was a game of musical chairs, and when the music ended, the worst minor league facility was going to get matched up with the major league team, who at the end of the day was stuck without anywhere else to go.
Boy, you really know who holds all the cards now, and it's the major leagues. There's no doubt. Last thing to touch on here, because we're a Texas League area. We've got 4 Texas League franchises within our listening audience here: the Travelers in Little Rock, the Naturals in Northwest Arkansas, the Cardinals in Springfield, the Drillers in Tulsa. is this change going to affect these franchises very much? These are not franchises that are on the cut list. Nothing on the Texas League seems like it's on the cut list. So what changes for the teams around where we live here?
So this is the part that, I do. I think the Texas League is going to come out of this pretty well. Again, there has been a cut list that was out there. All of that has changed. I will say that. No one knows what the final 120 are going to be right now. I'm hearing a lot of rumors, but even when I'm in gathering rumors on this over the last 6 months, teams come on, they go off, they come on, they go off. It's crazy that way. That said, it sure seems like the Texas League is going to come through this pretty, I would say, largely unscathed. And it sounds crazy as you're talking about how significant all this is. If you're a fan of a Texas League team, you may not notice a whole lot of difference here. Yeah. You really may not. If your team ends up being affiliated with the same major league club that you were before, and we hopefully are through the pandemic and everyone can start going to games again in 2021, you may show up and you may go, well, what was all the big deal? Because I'm still the same, front office staff I see here. The on-the-field product seems the same. The promotions are all the same, all that. It may not be, and in the Texas League, as significant a difference as it will be in some other parts of the country where there are going to be teams who are moved to different leagues, maybe even different classifications, things like that.
Well, it's an underappreciated part of Americana that I'm not sure if a lot of people in the big leagues appreciate the way they should. But minor league baseball is changing, and JJ, I really appreciate you coming on to explain this to us because it is a little into the weeds. So thanks for coming on. And by the way, I know you're a Steelers fan. I've picked them to go 13-3 this year and win the AFC North, and I'm sure that has nothing to do with me being a Pittsburgh native.
You are more optimistic than I am. 11-5, and I would be thrilled. 11-5 when we get through the season, to the playoffs, I'd be a happy man.
And at least one win over the Ravens, just one, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks, JJ.
I would take 11-5 with 2 wins.
I will too. And thanks for your reporting on this issue and what you guys do at Baseball America. I've been a reader since I think before I was born.
Well, thank you for that.
You got it. JJ Cooper, executive editor, Baseball America, with a good talk there. Yeah, and he's right about, Texas League fans. I don't know if you really notice a change. Like the Naturals should be affiliated with the Royals until the end of time. The Cardinals are owned by the Cardinals in Springfield. The Drillers and the Dodgers have a great relationship, as do the Travelers and the Mariners. But I think these guys will be paid better. There will be better road trips if the schedule is being made by the Major League office. Wow. It's a totally different thing. And I'll tell you, some of the most interesting conversations I ever heard was affiliation switch time with Bill Valentine trying to get a better deal from the Angels. That was good stuff, and stuff I can't even say on the radio.